Hello wrestling fans, the Wrestling Wizard here and welcome to another video. Now it's safe to say it was a mega week for the megastar in LA Knight, going face to face, toe to toe with the Tribal Chief, the head of the table in Roman Reigns, in what was an absolute fire promo. I love the little details with the reflection of Roman Reigns looking on at LA Knight in his shades. I thought that was absolute class. But of course, a lot of fans are skeptical. Many fans believe that this push is too quick, too soon, and that it will halt LA Knight's momentum. Some fans are more optimistic and just happy that WWE Creative are listening to the WWE fans and giving them what they want. LA Knight getting a shot, inevitably, at Roman Reigns, and this certainly looks like the direction that they're going in. It's more than likely that we'll get Roman Reigns versus LA Knight for the undisputed title at Crown Jewel, likely to main event, and sure, it's gonna be a banger, but I can understand why a lot of fans are skeptical. So what we're going to do in this video is go through the positives and the negatives of the LA Knight push in regards to taking on the Tribal Chief. Now, before we get into the juicy stuff, as always, it'd be very much appreciated if you could like the video, share the video, and even better, subscribe if you're new. So let's take a look at the positives. Now, the obvious thing here is it's a clear, logical reason to include LA Knight in this year's Survivor Series War Games. Of course, it's been confirmed that we're going to get War Games again. And if you have LA Knight feuding with Roman Reigns, feuding with the Bloodline, it makes sense to add him to a matchup. If he wasn't in this feud and he didn't have a reason to go after the Bloodline, it wouldn't really make a lot of sense having him in the War Games matchup, because of course we know with War Games it's personal, and it doesn't get any more personal than literally being in the middle of a rivalry against a dominant faction in the Bloodline. Now, of course, another obvious thing, it gives LA Knight super mainstream exposure. Now, you've got to remember, to this point, LA Knight hasn't really had any major feuds. Of course, he's tagged alongside John Cena, which is mega. Being endorsed by John Cena doesn't get any bigger than that. But taking on the head of the table just gets you that mainstream exposure. Taking LA Knight to the next level, win or lose. And of course, this is going to test LA Knight. This is going to be his biggest test yet. And we're going to see if he can hang with the big guys. I certainly felt in that promo, it was more than acceptable. He certainly hung with Roman Reigns really well. That sounds a little bit wrong out of context, but you know what I mean. He sort of held his own in front of the top act at the moment in WWE. And so this will test him further, whether we can take him as a credible main event act. Also, it's a good thing that WWE are listening to the fans. They're pushing a superstar that the fans are invested in, the fans believe in, much like with Daniel Bryan, when of course they pushed him, in Kofi Kingston. It wasn't WWE's A plan, of course it wasn't. They didn't expect this from LA Knight, and he has over-delivered, over-succeeded, and therefore WWE are rewarding him for it by giving him this inevitable matchup against Roman Reigns. Now, of course, we've got to address the obvious elephant in the room here. Somebody has to lose, and it's more than likely, and you can bet your bottom dollar, it's going to be LA Knight. I can't see WWE pulling the trigger on LA Knight here to be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns, but I honestly don't think this is going to damage LA Knight moving forward. I can see him in the next 2 to 3 PLEs being right at the top of the upper card in terms of the booking of the PLEs. As I said, I think he's going to be part of, and a major part of, Survivor Series War Games. So you can continue the momentum with LA Knight. And let's face it, pretty much everybody has lost to Roman Reigns anyway. There's going to be some screw job. He will be protected in some aspect, but ultimately I don't think he'll be damaged from losing to Roman Reigns. And you've got to remember, WWE are obviously very serious about LA Knight. I mean, only Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes have defeated Solo Sikoa clean, and LA Knight this week has been added to that list. And of course, if LA Knight loses to Roman Reigns, which I'm sure he's going to, this frees him up for the Royal Rumble. Now, again, I don't think WWE are going to go with LA Knight for the Rumble I think it's going to be Gunther. That's my personal pick, and that's who I think should win the Royal Rumble next year. Early predictions going down, right? But again, you can include him in the Royal Rumble, right? Freeze him up, get that matchup out the way at Crown Jewel, which isn't a major PLE. People will forget about that. So, of course, that brings us on to the negatives. We got to be a bit Nigel negative, or was it negative Nancy, say, in the United States? The push, potentially, is too soon, too quick in regards to pushing LA Knight literally to the very top of the card. Maybe, just maybe, he should have been involved in the mid-card title scene in regards to picking up one of those belts and having a short run with one of those titles before getting pushed to this level. But you can't fault WWE for pulling the trigger, striking the iron when it's hot, and just pushing him when they feel it's right. Now, of course, there's the fear, the worry that post Roman Reigns defeat, which is inevitable, said this millions of times, that maybe, just maybe, in 3 to 4 months, 5 to 6 months, the popularity of LA Knight starts to dwindle. The catchphrases start to get a little bit tiresome, and maybe fans just grow tired of LA Knight. Now, this is the fear amongst any acts, so I don't think this is a major thing to worry about. We can't look into a crystal ball and predict the future, but I think a character like LA Knight can prove people wrong, and I think there's longevity in this act if they pivot in certain aspects. Another potential negative is his ability to perform in ring at the top level. Now, LA Knight is passable, he's pretty decent in the ring, and of course immensely experienced. However, he does have the occasional botch. Of course, this is going to test him big time against the smooth, seamless Roman Reigns in the ring, who, by the way, isn't the greatest wrestler in the world, but in terms of the way he delivers storytelling within the ring, it's always compelling. Roman Reigns' facial expressions, his interactions with the crowd in match are like none other. Like, he delivers on another level. Can LA Knight deliver in ring? I feel like his moveset is a little bit limited. I'm not a massive fan of his finisher, to be honest. The BFT, I think they can change that a little bit. I always think of BLT, the sandwich. I know it's BFT, but I think of BLT for some reason. I just think he needs a killer finisher. I think that finisher is a little bit underwhelming. That's just my personal opinion. But again, we haven't seen him get tested at this level, so we'll have to wait and see. Of course, there is the obvious question, is Roman Reigns going to expose LA Knight? It felt very much like there was just a normal human being talking to a catchphrase dude, right? And what I mean by that is catchphrases can only go so far. And I certainly feel like the fans' reaction to LA Knight when he was opposing Roman Reigns didn't feel as poppy as it usually does. Can he hang with the best? Remains to be seen. And of course, to finish, we bring up the question, where does LA Knight go after this? Now, short term, I think it will be War Games, I'm sure, but there's not that many heels currently on SmackDown for LA Knight to feud with. But again, we can't look into a crystal ball. We're not Mystic Meg. We don't know what the future holds. But I thought it'd be interesting to look at the positives and the negatives of this Roman Reigns LA Knight feud. And as always, it'd be really helpful if you could get down in the comment section, share your thoughts and opinions. What do you think is going to go down? And as always, it'd be very much appreciated if you could like the video, share the video, and even better, subscribe if you're new, and we'll catch you in the next one.